Coach Burch, thank you for taking time with us at Off the Block blog. I know you just came from practice. Um, let's start with the off season. What did you do this off season?
Kept busy. Got stuck with Coach Brad Keller with the youth team, but had a good time with him. Learned a lot from him and Coach McCray and Colin McMillan with the U19 team down in Costa Rica, and then spent some time with Coach Hawks with the SCBA team, the HB Championships in Tulsa. Spent some time with the family. Went out to Wyoming. Had a nice vacation, but kept busy as always.
With Coach Keller, did you help him or give him any tips on finding a significant other?
I think he's got all the tips he needs. He's fine. But yeah, it's kind of the ongoing joke, but I don't think he needs any help. He's doing just fine there.
Let's go back to the off season or to national championship before the off season. I have to ask you. I don't think I did ask you after the game. Was the ball down that Jake Haynes hit in the fifth set?
I think what the rule is that if any part of the ball hits the ground, then it's technically down. And I mean, it's hard to question that if that's the way the rule is stated. You certainly can't argue that call too much. I think more of the reaction from our players was just being competitive in a really tight match against a really good team. And they knew we were playing pretty well, and we had a chance. And I think to lose that chance on a close play like that hurt. But yeah, I think it was the right call.
And do you feel that the players that came back from that semifinal match, that's going to feel their drive even more, knowing how close they came to winning a third national championship?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it hurts. I think getting there again kind of cements the expectation that our program has, and kind of what we want to achieve and what we want to work towards on a daily basis. We have a really tough conference, and that's the first goal, first and foremost. But I think we want to work every day towards being the best, and like I said, I think being in that game again in the Final Four only cements that expectation even more.
Well, let's talk about the conference you're in, the MIVA. Can you preview the MIVA for the 2019 season for us?
Yeah, I think it's going to be strong again. I think there's always some surprises, and there's always some guys that jump out that you don't always expect. But I think you got to give a lot of respect to the Chicago schools and what Dan Friend's done, what Mark Holst has done, the consistency that they've been able to produce good teams year in and year out. Ball State's always good. They always give us a run for our money. They always play us tough. Rock's doing some big things. They made some big changes last year that paid off. I think you look at a lot of different teams that can challenge you on a daily basis. Lindenwood's doing some big things there too. It's getting more and more competitive from top to bottom.
Speaking of Ball State, a certain Chirp alum wants me to ask you, why does Ball State give you so much trouble?
Well, I think they're a team that frustrates you. They're a very, very good defensive team, very disciplined defensively. And that they're able to get you, get under your skin with the way that they play, and it's a credit to them. They do what they do extremely well, and it's a testament to what they've always done, and that's been consistent against us every time they played against us, and it's not an easy style to play against. But again, you got to give credit to them and for what they've been able to accomplish, not only just against us, but for the history of that program.
Let's talk. The one thing that everybody's talking about your team in 2019 is your ridiculously challenging schedule. 3 trips to the West Coast. First one, you're going to BYU and Stanford. Second trip, you'll be going to Long Beach State and play in Santa Barbara. And then third trip, you play UCLA and USC. How did that schedule come about?
Well, I think we want to kind of getting back to what our expectation is. If you want to be the best, you got to play the best, and we're very confident in the talent that we have in our gym, and we want to challenge them as much as we possibly can, especially with their youth. And I think Pete's been doing this for a long time and has been very successful when it comes to scheduling. I think he's had the right idea in terms of challenging this group as much as we possibly can and getting them exposed to the best competition we possibly can.
The first trip really sticks out to me, BYU. I've been there once, and it's a sight to be seen. There in Hawaii, obviously, are the two most passionate men's volleyball fan bases around. Can you tell us your experience playing and coaching at BYU is like for a visiting team?
Well, it's not easy. I'll tell you that much. They're extremely respectful, but they're very passionate about volleyball. It's kind of like going to Fenway for a Red Sox game. They know the sport well. They're very educated fans, and they're very loud, and it's a fun environment to play, even if you're on the road. But it's also very challenging to play in that environment. But we're looking forward to it for sure.
Let's talk about your players on this year's team. First, let's talk about Jake. How has he developed over the offseason? What have you guys been trying to work on during the offseason, and what improvements have you seen?
I think the first thing we were able to see is just he's matured a little bit. I think being around some pros that can show him how to prepare on a daily basis. That's gone a long way. But I think also being around high level volleyball, he's a very smart kid, very observant, and has picked up a lot from other players while he was out there in Anaheim. So I think that's helped a lot. Just whether it's just picking up. He's mentioned he's picked up some off speed stuff from Taylor Sander, and just different things like that. He's learned a lot, but the game has definitely slowed down for him. You can see he's able to anticipate a lot quicker. He's able to see things happening before most anybody else on the team because he's used to playing at a much faster pace. But yeah, he's improved in a lot of different ways, and we're excited. I'm excited for him to show it.
And another player that I'm curious to see how he's improved is Sunil Thomas. I know that Christy Blah is still an assistant with you guys. So how has Christy been working with Sunil?
Well, Christy's actually he's in his second year of med school, which takes a little bit more time, so he won't be volunteering this year, unfortunately. But the work that he did with Sunny was unbelievable. I mean, for those that don't know Christy, he's a very, very intelligent person, but has great interpersonal skills. And if he wanted to be, he'd be an unbelievable coach and a great teacher. And he did a lot of great things for Sunny. I think Sunny's a very bright guy in his own right, and was able to pick up a lot of things from Christy. And I thought Christy also did well to work with Coach Embaugh and to bounce ideas off each other and work with each other to make the best offensive situation they could.
A question from a big fan of yours and from Florida. He asks, what player or players do you foresee that are kind of unknown to us? Do you expect to step up and become a key contributor?
Well, I think obviously replacing Nick Zerzan and Maxime opens up some big left side roles for us that I think Reese Delvis has been working his tail off since he got here, and I think he's ready to kind of burst onto the scene. He's been very, very consistent in practice. He's been leading by example. He does everything you'd want as a coach and then some. And if there's one guy I would pick, it'd probably be him. But it wouldn't surprise me if there's some others that could step up because we got one of the hardest working teams I've ever seen, ever worked with. So it's one of those rare teams where it wouldn't surprise me if I saw more than one guy step on the scene.
So we can't pin you down to have you tell us who your new O2 is going to be?
I think there's a lot of good players that are in our gym right now that are working really hard to fight for that spot. And, I think whoever ends up with that spot is going to have fought really hard for it and is going to deserve every bit of that role. And, that's kind of, there's a couple of people that, could take that role and run with it and could surprise a lot of people.
What are you going to miss most about Nick?
I think the cliche answer is just having him around. Being able to interact with him. He's another bright guy who's at a 3.8 in engineering and separate language. He's just the dialogue that we were able to have. It was pretty special. He's a great guy, and I think I was able to learn a lot from him. I know the guys were able to learn a lot from him. Sorry, but his leadership is pretty special too. It's hard to say just one thing. He's a once in a generation type of player, and there's a lot we're gonna miss from him for sure.
Can you tell us where those graduating seniors are right now, where they're playing, or if they're doing anything else right now?
Yeah, Maxime's out in France right now. He's playing for Montpellier. I think is the probably the incorrect pronunciation. He's probably laughing at me, but yeah, he's out in France playing pro. And then Nick is playing for Rizovia in Poland for the top league out there. and he's getting some good playing time too, and they're both doing extremely well and still playing at a very high level.
You were talking about the leadership void that Nick's departure presents. Who do you see as being the leader on the 2019 team?
Sunil was a leader as well for us last year. He's a pretty exceptional human being on and off the court, and his just natural leadership skills are pretty high level. He's going to be a special person, a special leader. Wherever he goes, whatever he does, he's going to be very successful because of his just natural leadership skills. But Blake Leeson's also stepping up. He's matured a lot as well. He's been working really hard ever since he walked in our gym, and he's doing a great job leading by example and showing the young guys that are coming in our gym what it takes to win at a high level, and not just on one day or one practice, but how to do it on a daily basis.
I'm always good for a random, lighthearted question. So, how's Zoe doing?
Oh, she's doing great. She's getting beat up by George now, though. Little George, who's about a year old, is about 25, 30 pounds heavier than her. So he's kind of muscling her around, but they're doing very well. They're happy as can be, that's for sure.
For those that are wondering, Zoe is a golden retriever, and you can find her on Instagram as well. Let's. Can I get an update on the new volleyball gym that is under construction?
Yeah, it's really cool. We've gone through it a couple times this fall. They're moving fast. We have it's not just the Cavelli. There's right across the street is our kind of what they call Olympic Sports Complex called the Shoemaker Facility, which has, long story short, they basically took all the football resources, the hot tubs, the cold tubs, in-ground cold tubs, the anti-gravity treadmills. I mean, all the state-of-the-art saltwater recovery tubs, and you name it, it's there. It's pretty mind-boggling, the resources that they've provided us. But the Cavelli is due to be completed in April. We'll probably move in just after the season. But it's pretty cool place. It's kind of shaped like a block O in the open section. We're gonna have TerraFlex floor. There's some exciting things. They're taking care of us for sure, and the support that's coming from Jeannie Oman and Gene Smith and the rest of our athletic department. It's pretty special. It's going to be fun to move in there. It's going to be a little bit surreal because St. John's been great to us, but it's going to be exciting times for us, no doubt.
If I'm not mistaken, though, you're still going to be playing the NCAA championship in a few years at St. John's still, right?
It's kind of been something that's been a little bit up in the air. I think that's kind of to be decided. It's certainly an option as far as I know at this point, but I think that decision is going to be well above my pay grade.
And of course, the great thing about a new gym is that you can use that for recruiting purposes, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it doesn't hurt. There's no question about that. I mean, in the end, we want to help our guys become the best version of themselves on the court and off the court that they can, and I don't think those resources hurt that part. So, like I said, we're going to take full advantage of the resources that Janine and Gene and the rest of our administration has provided for us, for sure.
A question from certain P announcer in Irvine, California is he wants to know what trends are you currently seeing that have developed since you started coaching men's volleyball?
Tempo of the offense has certainly spiked quite a bit, which as a defensive coach doesn't make my job any easier. But it's a new challenge. We all are in this business to face challenges on a daily basis, and that's for sure the biggest thing I noticed. Obviously, servings ramped up quite a bit. I think teams are looking to see where they can make more calculated risks, trying to see where they can be aggressive and score more points. And I think you're seeing it more with the faster tempo offenses and tougher serving.
A follow-up question: what would you like to be seeing be changed from the men's game?
Ooh, that's a great question. I hate to give a boring answer, but I think our game is pretty good right now. I think if there's anything I would like to see change, I'd just like to see the sport grow. I think it's when people are able to get in front of a TV or go to a match live, very rarely do you see them not come back to another one. And I think we just got to get the sport in front of more eyes and continue to work with other people, other programs to help grow the sport in any way we can.
And final question: how would you define a successful 2019 Ohio State men's volleyball season?
I think as a coach, you always have an idea of what your team can accomplish, and I think I think I always try to look back at the end of the year and see, did we exceed expectations? Did we do we meet them or do we fall below? And I think we all have pretty similar expectations at this point, and I think they're only going to go higher. And I think if we can look back at the end of the year and feel like we exceeded our expectations and got the most of the guys than what we had, then I think we'll be able to tell ourselves it was a successful season. And if we're able to do that, I think we'll be playing pretty late in the year.
Well, thank you for taking time with us at Off the Block blog and previewing the 2019 Ohio State men's volleyball season. We wish you nothing but the best of luck, and go Bucks.
Awesome. Love it. Thanks for having us.